Hi, this is Jake Shirley Coaching, and I want to talk about a book I just finished reading. It's called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. I have it up here on Amazon, and this is the book by Harv Eker. And the book is basically about how the rich people think compared to how the poor and the middle class think. And why do some people they seem to get rich, they seem to have all the luck, you know, and why do some people struggle financially? So what's the difference? Well, in this book, he talks about what he calls the money and success blueprint, and it's basically a combination of all your beliefs and your thoughts and your past experiences, and it creates a kind of mindset and a perspective of how you see the world, and that's how you think, and that's your blueprint. And he talks about in the book how rich people have a very different blueprint than the poor and the middle class. And the good news is that as you read the book, you can learn to identify what your blueprint is. And the good news is that you can also change your blueprint. So part one talks about uh, how you can identify your blueprint and what are your thoughts and beliefs concerning money. So part one is kind of about you and helping you learn where you're at right now, your mindset, where it concerns money. And part two contains what Ecker calls 17 wealth files, because he talks about your mind being like a filing cabinet and you have all these different thoughts and beliefs in there. But the good news is that you can change them. So in the second part of the book, Eckert talks about these 17 different wealth files, which are ways that the rich people think compared to the poor and the middle class. And I want to go over a few of those and just a touch on them to give you an idea of really what's in the book. But I definitely recommend reading this book. It's a great book to read to find out, to learn more about you and what are your thoughts and beliefs about money. So before I talk about a few of the different wealth files, I want to talk about something in the part one of the book, which Ecker calls the aspects of conditioning. These are things that, as you're a child, as you're growing up, these are things that you take in from the people and your environment, and basically shape how you think and feel about money later on in life. So very often we adopt the way that we adopt other people's feelings and beliefs as our own as we're young and growing up, and we just carry that on throughout our lives. But the good news is that we can change those if we want. In the book, he talks a lot about how if your beliefs and your thought patterns are not supporting your wealth and success, then you can change them. So there are three things, different kinds. There's a verbal conditioning, which is verbal, so it's what people say. So if you heard things like, money doesn't grow on trees, or we can't afford it, or there's not enough to go around, then you develop the scarcity mindset, and you pick that up when you're a child just from the people around you. So, but the question is, does that serve you or support you? And the other one is modeling, and that's is not so much verbal as it is watching what the people are doing around you. So that's like we see people struggling with money and struggling to get by. So we, as we're children, we're watching that. We just think that's just the way it is. And sometimes people have arguments and fights about money. So um, as children, we just associate money with anger or pain. And as we grow up, as um, as adults, we subconsciously we're just trying to get rid of our money because we're making an association of money to pain. So we're actually pushing money away from us on our subconscious level. And the third aspect of conditioning is specific incidents. So these are specific memories you might have of things that happened, and you know you might develop a negative association with money because of these things that happened to you. So those are some ways that as children, we start developing these mindsets and these perspectives that we just carry on throughout our lives. But what we should do, though, is as we grow up, we need to look at those and think about them. And if they're not serving us, we can change them. So let's talk about some of the wealth files in the book. I want to talk about the very first one, which is that rich people believe they create their life, and poor people believe that life happens to them. So basically, they're they're playing a role of being victims, and he says that they're not. He's not saying they necessarily are victims, but they're playing a role as victims. And there's three different ways they do that. And the first way they do that is they just play the blame game. They blame everyone else. It's everyone else's fault but them. It's the government, it's their boss at work, it's their coworkers, it's their it's someone else's fault always but their own. So that's one way that they're just playing a game of it's not my fault, so they don't have to take responsibility for it. The second way they trying to play the role of victim is that they're trying to justify why they don't have money, and why they're trying to justify that as being a good thing. This is when, like, people say money's not important, money doesn't buy happiness, or they say the rich people are mean and greedy, stuff like that. So they're trying to justify not having money and why that's actually a good thing. But is it really? We should question those things. And one of the quotes I really like is that he says money actually is important. It's important as, paying for your house or paying for food, so it's important in that area. But in the area of like love or happiness, it's not important. So he says that money is important in areas where it works and not important in areas where it doesn't. So there's a big difference there. The third way of how they're playing the role of victim is poor people tend to complain a lot. They're complaining about their job, or they're just complaining that there's not enough. And it also connects with the first one, that they're saying that this is because of other people. So they're doing a lot of complaining, and you know so their energy it goes really low because of that. They're just complaining all the time, and they're always talking about and thinking about things they don't want to happen. They're worrying a lot. And one of the things that I believe in is that you should think about what you want and not what you don't want. And wealth file number 3 is that rich people commit to being rich, and poor people just want to be rich. And there's a big difference, because when you commit to something, you have a very strong desire to do it. You're committed to doing it, and you're not going to stop until you get there. And a poor person says, I want to be rich, which is just a way of saying, if it fell into their lap, they would take it, which is not very strong at all. And these kinds of people, it also connects to how people play the role of victim by justifying. These are the same kind of people that would say, they look at the negative parts of what might happen if they had a lot of money. They say, well, if I made a lot of money, then everyone would just want a handout, or my family wouldn't understand if I tried to get rich, things like that. So they're also justifying. So these are all the same types of people in what they do. So I believe that we tend to get the things we think about. So when you say that you want money, but at the same time you think rich people are evil, then you're sending like mixed messages out into the universe, or the divine, or whatever you want to call it. And Eker talks about more of that in the book too. But when we send mixed signals like that, we just get ourselves all messed up and mixed up, and a lot of people, they don't even really know what they want. They might think they want to be rich, but at the same time they despise rich people. So they're all mixed up inside. They don't even know what they really want. And a lot of people might worry about, well, if I get rich, I'll become a bad person. Well, I believe that money just makes you more of what you already are. So if there's someone that, if there's someone that you think is a rich jerk, well, they were already a jerk, and money just made them worse. So money just makes you more of what you already are. So I talked about wealth file number 1 and number 3. Now I'm going to skip ahead to wealth file 16. That's not to say that the rest of them aren't important. The entire book is really good to read. But Wealth File 16 had a really big impact on me right now, this time in my life, and I really wanted to talk about it a little bit. So Wealth File 16 says that the rich people, they take action in spite of fear, and but poor people let fear stop them. So, like poor people want to do things that are easy or convenient for them, and that's how what they base their decisions on. But a rich person will take action. They know what to do, and they don't base it on whether or not it's easy or convenient. They know what their path is for them to, gain their wealth, and they take action on that in spite of their fear, even if it's not going to be easy. And getting rich probably won't be easy, but if you commit to doing it, you're going to make sacrifices, you're going to work hard, and you're going to get there because you decided to get there. It's not always, it might not be easy to get rich, and a lot of people let that stop them, and they're also afraid. But rich people don't let it stop them. So it says in the book that we are creatures of habit, so we develop habits. And pretty much anything can be a habit. So um, if we get in the habit of being lazy all day and not wanting to do very much, then that becomes a habit. At the same time, rich people develop a habit of taking action even when they're not in the mood, even when it's not comfortable, even if they don't feel like it. So rich people, and even if they're afraid, so rich people take action anyway, and that becomes a habit. A lot of people they think that they need to completely get rid of their fear, and that's not necessarily the case. They uh, rich people will take action anyway, even if they're a little bit worried or afraid of things maybe going wrong. But rich people take action anyway, and that becomes a habit for them. Because fear and worry and risk, they never completely go away. But rich people take action anyway, and poor people let those things stop them. I wanted to read a part of that book from my Wealth File 16, because I think he probably says it better than I can, and I just wanted to read a part of it real quick. So, because we are creatures of habit, we need to practice acting in spite of fear, in spite of doubt, in spite of worry, in spite of uncertainty, in spite of inconvenience, in spite of discomfort, and even to practice acting when we're not in the mood to act. And when we train ourselves to act and it becomes a habit, we stretch out of our comfort zone. And that's the only way that we ever grow, because the comfort zone might feel safe and comfortable, but nothing ever grows there. We have to get used to stretching and learning and growing and increasing our awareness, and that's how we get out of the comfort zone. And one of the things in the book is that he says your comfort zone is equal to your wealth zone. So if you get really comfortable, you're not learning, you're not growing, your income's gonna just it's gonna plateau there. If you want to get rich and earn more money, you have to stretch out of your comfort zone and expand your comfort zone. Okay, so that's pretty much all I wanted to mention in the book, and it was Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by Harv Eker, and I really recommend reading this book. It's a great book to read. I wanted to say one more thing that's in the book before I let you go, and it is that we need to choose to think in ways that support our happiness and success instead of ways that don't. So we can choose to control our thoughts, which leads to our feelings, which lead to the actions we take. So that's the book. It's Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and my website's up, and there are links below. And if you do want to coach with me, this is Jake Shirley Coaching, and thank you for watching.